Hey everyone. I know, didn't mean to cut the other one so short, but I thought I'd have a lot more to say, but so be it. I got my point across as I'm going around the path less traveled on this walkway. The topic I want to talk about now is something I've heard other people complain about on certain forums, that all anime is the same, which to me is a ridiculous notion, but apparently a lot of people like talking about that, or at least goof around with the idea. I find the idea absurd, while usually someone who would ask that type of question is one that really hasn't seen that much anime to begin with. And that's fine, you gotta start somewhere, and you don't ask questions, you'll never know. Ooh. Just taking a view before work starts tomorrow. Now, you can have anime that has the same setting, cause, well, it's made in Japan. They're going to be making stuff that's in Japan, obviously, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be canonically the same, because, well, just because it's the same setting doesn't mean it's going to be the same place. It's not going to be all canonically the same in Japan. Now, you can have fun intermingles, like, let's take, what was that one called? Anyway, you do have sometimes you'll have like one series make an appearance in another one, like My Sister Can't Be This Cute, and I forgot what the other show was. I'll post it in the comment in the description later. But for that one, the main cast of the other show was lost trying to find another location, and they kind of scurried across another show. And you can say that they're in the same area, but they're not same area, but sometimes but you can't say like Goku's in everywhere, cause no, he's in his world. So you have different canonical places. You'll sometimes see common places like those Japanese animated buildings, or those state buildings, or convention centers, because the story writers and creators can use those places as settings, cause it will be what do you call it? They don't have to pay more to use those locations, cause it's they don't have to pay any royalties to those places. It's like if I was to film in front of the Mount Rushmore, or not film, if I was to animate Mount Rushmore, it's a national location. I don't need to pay Mount Rushmore people to use Mount Rushmore. It's a common place that you know. So because some places or settings use the same buildings does not mean it's canonically the same place. Like Sergeant Frog uses a lot of Gundam references. Because it references Gundam doesn't mean Gundam happens in the same universe. Then you have some arguments of non-canon crossovers versus episodes, like Toriko versus One Piece versus Dragon Ball Z. They are fun, but it's not going to take, because they met that one time, does not mean that they're going to take place throughout each other's series. It's just a fun one-time special. You do have tropes. That's usually something in commonplace is written one way, but you might see it again in another. But because you see that, that doesn't mean it's going to be same outcome every time. You might change it up a bit. Examples of that would be the harem show, where even though there's other girls that the main character might be better off with, doesn't mean he's going to end up with that one all the time, even though it's a high probability of it from happening. I think I chose a rougher place to walk. Just because a Gundam show has a Gundam in it doesn't mean you're going to have the same outcomes and, well, almost the same one-for-one outcomes. It usually wins with the Gundam side winning. That's obvious, but it's not going to be the same characters, and you will have the same elements, but it's done differently. A remix, if you will. Then you have the famous one that was written very well and people want to imitate it, which is awesome, because if one thing's written one way, wait a minute, there's another road less traveled. Let's take a gander at that. So let's say I have a show like Yu Yu Hakusho, and it has a tournament. I know it's not the first tournament anime, but you see something supernatural and it has a tournament in it. Just because it has just because it has a tournament in it, you'll see more shonen shows to follow, because it worked well that way and you demonstrated a close fellowship, a friendship that way. Well, you do have clones, which are awesome, but you also have hey, 3 people. Let's see, do I have anything I'm not saying? Just because you work on the same story over and over again, or that same trope, you could get a different outcome of story. Let's say Tenchi Muyo, for example. You have, well, I had 3. You have a main character, all the girls love him, and you have repeats and repeats. Well, just because you have repeats and repeats, it's fine. Someone's trying to take their own take on it. But then you have something that takes its idea along with someone else's and makes it a new remix, like Love Hina. One guy against all the girls, he's going to end up with one, but there's a mystery involved. You change the relevance. You could say that you're tired of the same story, or same genre, if you will, and that's fine. Something can get stale, you try something else new, like the same stale muffin probably doesn't taste as good as a new blueberry muffin. Remixing and changing genre is perfectly fine. That's how we find entertainment. It's like a whole new world, like I'm walking in a block again. All right. You also have stuff like Fist of the North Star. Have your Mad Max like modern Western, but mixed with martial arts and people exploding. Then you have others to follow its path, like Toriko, or funnier variants like Bubba Bobo, or all right, what's that one called? Desert Punk. Just because something was a hit doesn't mean it won't. It could get stale clones, but you could get new series to follow that writing format, which is totally fine. But if you don't like it, change it, watch something else. Nothing wrong with that. Then you have another show. I can't remember the Japanese name, but the English name would be Charge High School Boys, which would inspire other more famous variants and helped along with the boys' slice of life, such as Cromartie High School or Daily Life of High School Boys. That's probably not as rugged as the other, but or another example would be Great Teacher Onizuka. Just because someone has the first idea, you can think of other similar variants and still be creative. Cool. Then you have the toyetic shows. That's when a show is made and the purpose of the show is to sell toys. Well, you can have some obvious, it sells for the figurines because of that random beach episode out of nowhere. Or they're trying to sell something tradable like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm getting fuzzy-headed. Probably shouldn't say that, but Yu-Gi-Oh!, Beyblade, Bakugan, stuff like that, where they sell toys, but they sell it in such a way that they want you to compete, have tournaments, and trade with one another, or buy from one another to say, ooh, awesome, I want that product. Which Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably the best example of that, because they're able to write a story with an edge to keep you entertained. Then you have other shows, which Toei is very good at, like Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon, that are there to sell toys of either the characters, obviously, or also the merchandise along with it. Hence the whole, they henching into a more powerful form, using different sparkly toys and some such. Usually the magical girl shows are usually awesome with that. You also have Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, I want to say Ultraman, but usually that one they're just wearing a different suit, which is fine to sell clothes along with your product. Merchandise is where you make most of your money. And nothing wrong with an awesome commercial to buy stuff. If you enjoy what you're watching, that's all that matters at the end. What do we got here? No one is saying anything, which is fine. Other clone examples would have to be the super robots of the 70s and 80s, before Gundam or Eidolon. Those super robots, like Mazinger, Getter Robo, so on and so forth, are fighting aliens and battling across the universe. And thanks to Getter Robo, they forcefully changed all the mech designs to be more realistic and have some decent physics to go by. That way they can make the toy transform into what they're advertising. Because with sadly for Getter Robo, unless you add some more compartments and stuff to make the price go up, they need something to actually mold, change, and easily snap on to commercially sell these items. Which also helped the Super Sentai forming the Zords or robots to combine and make those awesome toys that they try to sell when you grow up with. What else we got here? You also have earlier marketing like Astro Boy, Giant Robo, or sorry, Gigantor, which sold like the mask, the boots, the different sorts of toys, so you can dress up like the character if you were in Japan, not over here. Over here, Gigantor, if you want a good laugh, you should read the reviews on the Wikipedia page and read all the 1960s parents complain about how the show's reinforcement on their child were, since partial quote, it was not a good babysitter for their children at the time, because they wanted to just throw the child in front of the TV and do their work and get things done while they're entertained. Any questions, guys? Now, I can see some people complaining with the whole all anime is the same, if you want to continue with that, that you're still getting the same basic plot lines, episodes and formats. I get that. You need to change the format up if you are lucky enough to get funding to do that. Because we get a modern 12 episode season. And this is usually a show that gets one season and that's it. You'll have the first 2 episodes have the basic plot. You'll have between usually episode 3 and 8 is a lot of filler. You might luck up and get introduced to different characters, which is fine. But then you have all this fluff, like I have to pass an exam. Oh no, what am I going to wear to the beach? Other, not really slice of life per se, but like sort of not as meaningful events that will happen to the whole story of, oh, I don't know, my mother was kidnapped by the Demon King. What are we going to do? Like there's no training or anything. Then it hits to episode 9, out of nowhere. They need to team together, be introduced to the last character that you see in the opening, and then finally tackle the solution. I can see that being annoying. Whew. That right there is an incline. So any questions, guys? Well, this time around went from a sportsplex park and into a very ritzy neighborhood, which is cool, or at least to me. Hopefully my out of shapeness didn't ruin this video, but if not, cool. Remember to leave a like, comment, share with your friends if you did like this video. Not sure when the next one of these will be. Sorry, don't really have it scheduled for when I'm going to have one of these happen. And I do apologize for the technical difficulties of the last episode. And I should have realized I just need to turn my phone volume to mute. And that would have solved it. But I was not thinking at the time, and I do apologize. If you want to continue the conversation through comments, that's awesome. Just let me know what anime you think is, quote unquote, the same as all the rest. And with that, I'll catch my breath and I'll talk to you later. So until then, this Tuesday, I will have a new video out touring the Big Mix Video movie rental store in Huntsville, Alabama. So with that, take care. Hope you rest well for your work week if you work, or enjoy your fall break if it's happening this week. I will be going to AWA this weekend. I mean, not this weekend, at the end of October. And with that, stay safe and remember to sharp smart, guys. Laters.